people become the disclosure. We are doing the disclosure, and we're not putting our energy into all these committees and all this news that is going around and round in circles. They've been playing this game with us for how long are we going to put up with that, right? We now have the tools. It's free. We don't need radar antennas, millions of dollars to point at the sky and send out messages. Here in the US, you can buy a chair for $20 that's comfortable, maybe $40, a gravity chair, haul it out in your yard, you lay back nicely, and within a few tries, maybe it won't happen the first time, but if you're persistent, for almost no money, you can have your own experience, and you don't need all these committees and all these authorities to tell you what you already know. So I'm very, very strong with that. The People's Disclosure Movement belongs to all of us. It's not my movement. Everybody has a role. If you want to be an activist, start right where you are, in your own village, in your town, in your city, and just look for a few people that are open-minded like you, get together, try the different, everyone has a different CE5 protocol, but make the attempt to initiate the contact yourself. And that is a really evolutionary and revolutionary thing to do when you make that simple act of making that contact yourself. And again, millions of people have done it. And I think there are many, many more that will follow what you, Yvonne, and others are doing, because you are educating people. And I want to thank you for the opportunity to be able to say what I'm saying, and also for what you're doing to promote all this, because we need people like you in every country of the world becoming the media, right? We don't have millions of dollars to advertise what we do on traditional mainstream media, but we have the internet, and you know how powerful that is.
Yes.
Especially the younger generation, they know how to use this social media, and they should be using it for this kind of news, because a tipping point will be reached. And actually it was reached in 2019. My star friends telepathically said that when we started the People's Disclosure Movement in 2010, they asked me to create as many ET contact teams as possible in as many places as possible, as quickly as possible. And I thought, wow, that sounds cool. Why? And their answer was, well, when humans give us more permission to show ourselves, we know they're open-minded, we will appear in more cities, and more humans will see us there as a result of that. And they will want to see us in more places, so we will appear in more places where even more humans will see us. And they call this a virtuous circle, great virtue. And it's an organic growth. And that's how our People's Disclosure Movement has grown, because I started organizing people in 2010 to do just what I was asked to do, to create all those teams. And they told me, my star friends told me, that someday so many people will have seen them and want to further communicate with them all over the world, that a tipping point would be reached where it would become impossible for any authority, whether it's religious, governmental, some other institution, to cover it up again. It will be just like it's all over the place. You cannot put it back and hide it anymore. And I asked them, well, when is that tipping point going to happen? This was in 2010, and they wouldn't tell me. However, recently they said, well, the tipping point did happen. It was 2019. And this is exciting news that I want everybody to understand. We reached that tipping point. And in fact, the image that was given to me was that our movement now, our People's Disclosure Movement, is like a snowball rolling downhill. It cannot be stopped. It cannot be stopped. So we are on the right side of history right now. We are making history. We are cosmic humanity. And you and your friends and my friends, we're all making that happen. And I'm here to tell you that because of that snowball and the growth of our movement, my star friends have said that this movement has far exceeded their wildest expectations when they started. So take that to inspire you. That's what gets me going in the morning, that they are saying, that they must have some kind of a plan for how they're approaching humanity. They approach you, they approach others. They're trying to build a consensus, that tipping point. And now they've been telling us, you all did a great job congratulations, all of you out there, for making your contact and for teaching others and growing the movement, because we succeeded. No, they're not down on the ground here among us, but these things happen in phases. They don't happen overnight. We made a huge, successful event by becoming that snowball that can't be stopped now. So it's just a matter of time as we continue to grow our movement, and as we on Earth continue to try to find ways to get along with each other and stabilize our environment. We're making it possible to allow them to join us here on the ground. It's what I call full open contact. So we're in the process of it right now. Like I said, it doesn't happen overnight, but I think it's exciting to be given news like that. Our star friends are overjoyed that so many of us are reaching out to them peacefully. And in fact, they're allowed to help us now. You know, that Star Trek, that prime directive where Captain Kirk and all the others are not allowed to interfere on any planet, because the primitives down there are supposed to have their own evolution, their own spiritual growth and all that. And that's understandable. But so many people have been asking for help for the Earth, for all the problems that we have now. My star friends tell me that the prime directive for them has been removed. So we are allowed to ask.
Excuse me, removed what?
Whatever authority is out there, and I don't understand it, they do not have to obey the prime directive anymore towards us. They are allowed, and I don't want to use the word to interfere, because interfere sounds like someone's reaching in and controlling and manipulating. No, they are allowed to help us now more fully if we ask, because it's still our free will. This is not about them imposing anything. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
They are now not bound by the prime directive, but they're still waiting for us to ask. We have a planet in crisis. We have wars going on. We have climate problems. We have a lot of things. We are allowed to ask for some help that they're able to offer with the technologies they have. And that's a game changer right there. And that's why I encourage people to reach out and ask for that help. And I have to say too, that if you're asking for, I want my nation to go beat up that other nation because I don't like what they say, or I don't like the color of their skin, I don't think you're going to get that kind of help. A lot of these civilizations have evolved past the point where they're competing and destroying other beings to make themselves greater. And I think they've spiritually evolved to the point where love and compassion are what guide them. And so if we present our highest selves and say, look, humanity's in a mess, we need some guidance on how we can get along better, how we can solve a climate crisis, how we can solve a political crisis. Can you help us with that for the betterment of all life forms, not just for my ego or to beat up someone else? This is for universal betterment. And that's how we're going to reach a golden age. Our star friends are interested in doing that with us.
Mm-hmm. I would like to make clear something, actually two things. There's a rumors, that is not in my thoughts, but there's a rumors that there's a friendly ETs or consciousness or intelligence, and the other side there's not very friendly with us. Do you have a thoughts about this?
I believe that there have been many negative elements here on Earth, not the least of which have been purely human. Humans are better at beating up each other than anybody else. We've done that for thousands of years in all cultures. Yeah, what you're saying is there's a great big controversy, negative ETs, positive ETs. I have to say that we haven't, in my communications with thousands of people, we have not encountered anything negative or bad. I'm not saying that there aren't lower vibrational forces that are native to the Earth, interdimensional or from elsewhere, that have been present here and worked against us, because I do believe that's happened. But also I believe and know that right now we're in a time where there is such a massive amount of love and light being beamed on our planet from galactic federations from many civilizations who are here to help us. There's such a massive amount that whatever negativity there might be out there has no chance, and they know that they're not going to win this. They are getting neutralized because we're learning love. We're learning how to get along. Not fast enough for most of our tastes, but we're learning to do that, and we have the cosmic help that is here, that is being offered to us to do that. I'm not sure if I answered your question.
Yeah. And I'm listening very careful what you say. And at the same time, I'm thinking that maybe it's about us, what we're going to do. If we're going to take the side of the light, or doing some good things, positive things, or we can thinking about bad, all these bad entities and bad energies and whatever, because it's there's a Native American story. There's a two wolves in your life. You know that story?
Yeah, but you should. Many people don't. Go ahead. I want to hear it
Yeah,
again.
and if you allowed the good wolf to take place in your mind, in your conscious, you're going to do the good things. You're not going to be touched from the other side.
Yeah, one version of that is you have two wolves inside of you. Which one are you going to feed?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you can use different terminology. You have a choice.
Yeah,
And that is exactly the same sentiment that my star friends have. They have said, yeah, there's lots of conspiracies out there. There's a lot of negative places. Yeah, bad things have been done. We're not pretending that things have been, rosy on Earth. But you have a choice now. They said, in the quantum field, what energy you're going to put in. If you choose a better world, if you think about it and especially put emotion into it, love and desire in detail, the kind of world that you want, and keep feeding that, instead of putting your energy into all the negative conspiracies and all that, then by feeding the positive part of you there, you're going to get what you want. You're going to create the quantum reality that you want in time. So that's what I tell people. Yeah, we're aware of the bad stuff going on. We're not naive, but every day we have a choice. With every thought, with every action, with every emotion, with every spoken word, what do we want to create? I'm not saying I'm perfect and can do this perfectly every day, because I have good days and I have bad days like everybody. But I think the good days are starting to outnumber all the bad days, where I can focus on the future and go, oh my God, this is really what I want. I want more peace on earth. I want justice. I want an end to hunger, etc. And to that point, I created a Facebook group, and by no means is this the only group out there. And I know not everyone's on Facebook, but in other social media, there are what are called good news type groups. The one that I created with my friends, and I want to give a shout out to them, to Kat and Kevin, who are the administrators there on Facebook for Good News Every Day. It's a place where we share stories of human kindness and compassion, that stories that take something that was bad and they make it better by some action of a human group or an individual, no matter where it is. It could be in a village, it could be in the UN, it could be in a political institution. It doesn't matter. There are really millions of people doing wonderful things to make a better world. And this particular Good News Everyday group, we try to grab news from the internet and put it there in one spot. And I ask people who join the group, come to the group every morning while you're having your coffee or your tea. And instead of reading mainstream news about everything that's going wrong that day, yeah, you probably want to stay aware of that. But if the first thing you do is read a couple stories in a group like ours, while you're feeding in the same way that you're feeding your body in the morning to have nourishment for the day, you're feeding your spirit, your soul, with good news and positive stuff. And some of these stories will just make you cry. And you say to yourself, I never knew people could be so good. This story reaffirmed my faith in humanity. Maybe I woke up in a bad mood, but reading a couple of these stories has changed me. And now I have a little bit better outlook on my day, more positive. And I'm just asking people, do this every day, make it a habit, nourish yourself with good news, because it's out there. The mainstream media won't show it to you by and large. Someday that will change because, fear and war and terror and sex, lies, and videotape are what they push at us all the time, all the negativities, everything that's wrong. And that's why good news every day is an example of things that are going right. And I just wish that millions of people were able to read about all the kind actions, because 99.9% of people, I think, have an innate goodness. But we don't know how large that is. And that's what's called the People's Love Alliance, which is working together like this with the People's Disclosure Movement. Because if the People's Love Alliance succeeds, and there are millions of people out there doing good things, if it succeeds and we bring about a better, more stable, more loving, compassionate world, well, guess what? The disclosure activities we've been doing with our friends will suddenly become a whole lot easier. They will see a world that's a little bit more at peace, and it makes it possible for them to approach us and come to us in larger numbers, and that we can react with them and have it not be fear, have it to be a wonderful thing. So we've got work to do here, but good news every day, wherever it's happening, is part of you as an individual learning how to be more positive and focusing on the world you want and what's already working in the world, because there's a lot of good that's working. You would be amazed when you start reading some of these stories at the inventions that are out there that are going to feed the world, that are going to provide free energy, improved energy, and on, that it's all out there. And it's really easy to be depressed if you don't read about it. I urge people to go to, just one example out of many, to go to a group called avaz.org, AVAAZ.org. Avaz means voice or song in many languages. And that group has 70 million members in every country of the world. And they do not have sponsorship from governments. They don't take money from anybody that can influence them. It's all people-powered money. And 70 million of those people help each other with campaigns in each other's countries. If they're trying to fight a corporation who's cutting down a rainforest, a lot of the Avaz members will send money to the group that's doing the fighting, and they will help them in many ways. And they're helping each other. This is humanity behaving well, but you would never know they're out there unless somebody like me says, go to avaz.org and be inspired and realize that you're not alone. And there are literally millions of people who are just like you, who want a better world and who are organizing and becoming activists, and they got each other's backs. They're helping each other. It doesn't matter what your language is, your color, your culture. What's coming is from the heart. This is us behaving well as humans, loving each other and helping each other to do positive things.
Everyone who watching that video, I'm sure will say, wow, that is amazing. Probably will have a lot of likes, but actually, everything sounds super cool and good.
I know. Yeah.
But at the same time, because all this is new, this is super new for everybody. Maybe most of the people, they just feel that is right. But the other side, I think we have to talk to the people about the consciousness, of the power of the consciousness. You just mentioned a few minutes ago about we can create worlds with our consciousness. So for me, looks like something like that. So the brain or the human consciousness is something kind of antenna to make that connection with everything around us. Not only different star system, maybe another worlds around us. which is invisible, but they exist. I mean, if we cannot see, that doesn't mean that they not exist.
Right.
But with our consciousness, if we start maybe with meditation, going inside of us to find out who we are actually, what kind of powers we have, and then we'll be much more free. And then with the conscious, with all this sharing thoughts with people, with friends, then maybe it will be much more easier for much more humans to start gather together. And that really happening is, yeah, I mean, like 20 years ago, for example, people haven't seen too much the strange lights in UFO or whatever over there. Now, maybe they double or triple now. And
More
because,
than that, yeah.
yeah, and because all that happening, people start to wake up, start to understand, I mean, this changing somewhere. And I heard also another theory that some star system, they're sending some kind of waves or energy to us, to the planet, to upgrade our DNA. And maybe that also is, I don't know if that is right. What do you think about this?
Well, I think it's totally possible. I don't have specific information about that, but
Yeah.
I did mention earlier that all these civilizations are beaming more love and light onto Earth now for its healing, for all our healing and our evolution, than has ever been present on the Earth before. So is some of that upgrading our DNA so that we start loving more and being, like you say, making conscious connections with other realms of life that are invisible to us? Sure, why not? I mean, remember before radio, I don't remember, but before radio waves came along, even the telegraph, people on Earth thought it was impossible that at a distance, right, that you could communicate with someone. You know, you can yell and that's about as far it can go. You can send smoke signals. And then look what happened. A method came about, you know, a telegraph, radio, television, now the internet. And we have a world and an ability to connect now that was undreamt of 200 years ago. This would have been magic, or depending on your frame of mind, it would have been witchcraft, you know, or whatever. But for us, it's magic. We could use it a whole lot better than how we're behaving on the internet now, but look for the positive ways it is being used to grow these movements, this love alliance, like what I mentioned. So I like how you put that. It's about consciousness, Ivan. You know, this starts with us individually, right? We can't create a loving society unless we go within and find that place of peace in ourselves. It doesn't mean we have to be perfect or perfect peace, but at least we're making the effort. And once we put our intention there, the universe will respond and teach us how to love more. And then imagine if so many people were starting to do that themselves, and then they got together, then a group field gets created where group consciousness is affecting the planet. We know that everything's interconnected, and there's a whole universe inside each of us. If we can be consciously more loving, we are affecting the entire universe, and in many ways that we just don't know. But it is happening. And I think there's a revolution in consciousness happening as much as seeing the lights in the sky. And I think they're actually connected. The more that we're raising our vibration, we will be starting to see more into the dimensions where some of these craft are, because they're not all just in our physical reality. So we are experiencing that 20-year growth that you talked about. 20 years ago, people were not reporting so much about the objects, and now it seems like it's all over the place. The same thing with consciousness and with love. People may not be reporting it, but I'm looking for some major, well, the internet is it. I mean, a means, if you know where to look, to start connecting with others who are also doing good things, who are elevating, and that's been made possible. So it's up to us. Again, which wolf are you going to feed?
Yeah. And we almost to the end of this Zoom meeting now. What is the general message of our friends, the star friends, to the planet here, to the human race?
Love one another. We have a choice to regress or to progress. Love one another and create the reality that we want with other humans. That's what they want of us. And if that means connecting with them to find inspiration, they're all about that. People have received healings from them, communications of all kinds. They are very joyous to be among us. So that's the message that I want to leave with people, is that we're not alone. We have a lot of help from up there, and we have a lot of company. We're not alone here either. There's a lot of millions of people that believe like we do that a better world's possible. And so we're asked to build that world. And if we want to, we can request help while we're doing that from these civilizations that have probably gone through this stage that we're in now and succeeded. And they have something to teach us about that. So it's about the love. Grow the love, and the universe will continue opening up, and they will walk with us someday. They promised me that.
And really one last question with short answer. Are they among us?
Some of them are, yeah. Yeah, definitely. There are many who look like us, and you could pass them in the street and you would not know the difference.
Thank you so much for your time, Kosta.
No, thank you for the time given to me.